How to be the one, how to beat your competition before it even started. In recruitment, most of your frustration comes from a lack of commitment from the candidate or from the client. That's why you should prioritize either working with exclusive or retained customers. And how to do that? That's what I'm going to teach you in this video. And the first mistake that I see, you don't ask. You don't ask because you are so excited to pull a job that you forget, because you don't want to ruin the opportunity, because you assume that it is not possible, or because you don't know how to sell it. So before going any further, as soon as I know that the prospect is recruiting, here is the first thing that I say. Mr. the Client, may I ask you, is there anyone helping you with this request? There is nothing weird about asking. That's a legit question, so don't feel uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter how big the company is. It doesn't matter whether or not they have a PSL. I make no assumptions, that's very important. And if there is no other agency on the job yet, now you know that you could potentially be the only one. You just need to convince them. And how? By showing your prospect that it is in his best interest. And to do so, you need to ask questions first. For example, I want to know, where are you in the process? For how long are you looking for your profile? What are the main challenges you are facing? What do you expect from an agency? Did you already work with an agency, and what did you like? Didn't you like? And also, what would happen if the role remains open? And that should give me the necessary information to analyze the pain points and the need, and now I can go to the next step, selling my services. Don't assume that they know what you will be doing for them, because they don't. So show them what they will be paying for. Describe step by step and concisely your way of working, keeping in mind your client's pain point. What is really important to them? How can you make the difference? Is this with the quality of the resume? How do you prepare the candidates? The follow-up, the reactivity, the transparency, etc. And I can build my pitch. If the prospect doesn't have any question, if he feels okay with the way I work, now we can discuss the terms of the collaboration, and I will ask, Mr. the Client, you told me that you were not working with any other agency for this request. May I ask you, if we work together, are you considering working with other agencies? If the answer is no, then you can go directly to the closing part. But if the answer is yes, then I will ask why. And the potential answers could be that he thinks that he will receive more profiles, so he doesn't want to commit himself. He wants to remain free to do whatever he wants because the request is urgent, the profiles are difficult to find, etc. But as a recruiter, you know that that is a misconception. You know that by working on exclusivity, he will get better profiles, higher quality services, more reactivity, etc. And to make the prospect realize this by himself, I ask him 2 questions. Mr. the Client, in a candidate-driven market where the demand is higher than the supply, which impact do you believe that working with multiple agencies will have on, and here I insert a pain point. So for example, attracting and delivering better profiles. And then to demonstrate my point, I like asking the following question. Do you believe that a candidate will be more likely to engage for an opportunity where the recruiter is exclusively representing a client, or for an opportunity where he has been contacted by multiple agencies already? And now that the prospects start to understand the benefit of working on exclusivity, now I can pitch. Mr. the Client, the reason why I suggest you to work on exclusivity, it is because it creates the best conditions to get the best candidates in less time and with a greater probability to sign them. And why? Because if a candidate is contacted multiple times for the same opportunity from the same company, it doesn't look good and it could damage your brand image. Number 2, empowering your recruiter and giving him more control will put him in a better position to attract better candidates. He will stand out and he will make you stand out. Also, because the client is exclusively relying on us, it decreases the pressure on our shoulders, so we will allocate more resources. Number 4, exclusivity creates this privileged relationship where we can go more in depth with a tailor-made approach. Overall, we work with less clients, but we spend much more time on each of them. And finally, because everything is centralized, we avoid useless back and forth, and we have a more efficient process which increases the offer acceptance ratio. And of course, you can use the arguments that fit better the situation of your client. And now it's time to close. So you want a clear yes or a clear no, and you also want to have the opportunity to answer any remaining objections before that. First, I will ask something like, how do you feel about that? How does it sound for you, etc. And I tackle any remaining objections. And then I like using reverse psychology. So I will ask something like, would you be opposed? Would you be against working together on an exclusive basis? Or I can also ask, do you see any reason for us not to work together on an exclusive basis? Also, there is an important thing to mention here about the closing, because unlike retained recruitment, it is mostly a gentleman agreement here. There is nothing signed, no contract. So it is important to make the client realize that if we agree on this, we will have to stick to it because it will impact your way of working and your approach. For example, you should tell your client that it is what you are going to communicate to the candidate, that you are exclusively representing the client. So if then he is contacted by another agency, it doesn't look good and he will probably lose the candidate. So it will have a consequence for him. If you manage to get the exclusivity, that's great. Congratulations, but remember this, exclusivity is not an end in itself, so don't get blinded by the excitement. It could be a poison gift because the salary is not aligned with the market standard, because the work conditions are not aligned with the market standard, so for example, remote work, flexible hours, etc., or because the requirements are not realistic. Test the flexibility and make sure that the job is fillable first. And the last important thing, if you do permanent recruitment, you should go for retained recruitment first. And if you watch the video already, you know that there are many similarities in the structure, but of course the pitch is different. So if you want to sell more retainers, here is the video that you should watch next.